an amalgam of all sorts of things. You know, is it soft and furry, or is it sort of spiky, or is it friendly, or is it not? I'm Wendy Froud. I am the creature and costume designer for the Dark Crystal.
I'm Wendy Froud. I'm a puppet builder. On this, I made forest creatures and consulted on a lot of the other creatures. I was one of the team that built the original Yoda. So we had just begun working on Dark Crystal, but we knew that Frank Oz was going to be puppeteering. And we thought that it would be a good idea to have somebody who could build puppets and sculpt go and make a prototype for him to kind of play around with and learn about the character. It was an interesting experience. And we all learned a lot that we took back to Dark Crystal with us.
But what was interesting about the original film, it was 5 years of our lives, day in and day out. But this new series, we had about 1.5 years to do actually several movies worth of material. And so it was a sudden rush to get on with it. First bit is just simply designing. We had to recreate some of the original puppets. But meanwhile, I had to design new characters. Not only new ones of old friends in the film, but a whole slew of new characters we'd never seen before. So it was actually, getting to the drawing board and starting.
It was from about 6:30 in the morning until 7 at night. So they were very, very long days. Brian would be sketching. As he finished a sketch, he would hand it to somebody. They'd start working on it. They'd start either sculpting or building a puppet or doing a costume immediately. So as soon as he would finish something, it would be taken off and used. So the world was enormous. 10 hours of a series is an enormous amount of time compared to an hour and 20 minutes. It was wonderful. A little daunting, but at least we'd been through it once before, which nobody else who was there had, or not most people.
When we did the original film, we were pioneering with all our techniques, but one thing that we didn't have was green screen, and now we do, and that's been a revelation. And so we've been able to build characters using the ability to puppeteer, not just from the inside, but from the outside, which is so, it's an old technique which is bunraku, which is Japanese, where the puppeteers are outside the puppet. And it's a very direct and a very expressive way of puppeteering, because part of the original film was about the whole world itself being alive, and you couldn't tell what was a creature and what was landscape. And so we wanted to develop that, which we did, with lots of creatures that sort of blended into the landscape, that looked a bit like landscape, but came to life. So the Pluffum, this is the Pluffum, right? This turned out to be quite a star of the show.
Oh.
So this is very unusual, because this is quite finished. There's a scene in the series where the Skeksis are bathing, which is quite an unusual event. But we thought it would be nice to make it rather discreet as they bathe. So I invented this costume for them, which is part like a baby's christening gown and shroud. This is our esteemed emperor. They're fairly rough because it's not the stage to be too literal. It gives a feeling for the character. And now we have to start building and trying to figure out how we are going to perform it. And then, eventually it comes together, and then there's the fun time where we actually do stuff to it. And we sort of mess it up and age it and add dirt. And the most important thing about making a film about a world that you've never quite seen before is to make it believable. It's got to feel it has history. It can't look brand new.
Which always horrified the costumers when they were finished, because the costumes look beautiful when they're pristine. Beautiful silks, lots of beading, gorgeous things. And then, of course, Brian comes in and just absolutely destroys them.
Well, along with another team
in the name of
people
art.
As well.
Yeah, not just you, but
not just me. These new guys, the new Skeksis, are some of the things I'm most proud of when you see them, because they're so seriously strange. And when the puppeteers bring them to life, you have to really stand back. You can't get too close to them.